Welcome to this week's Ignite the Flame podcast. This week we have John McFarlane, our Chief Clinical Officer here at Ignite Medical Resorts. Hey, John, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, Gerald. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm thrilled to be here with you today. And for those who are listening, yesterday was the beginning, I should say, of a great week in the senior healthcare profession. And this great week I'm talking about is Nurses Week. So before we go further, let's give a round of applause to all our nurses out there. We appreciate you. We value what you do. But I also know it takes an entire team to advance systems the Ignite way. And you know it's a special way. So shout out to all of our professionals. But this week we're going to recognize Nurses Week, which is a great time to celebrate care, a great time to celebrate the people who provide the care, and a great time to uplift each other and focus on our purpose. So John, this week is very special. Talk to me about it. What does it mean to you, sir?
Yeah. Well, first of all, happy Nurses Week to all of our nurses out there. We appreciate you so much, more than you know. I would say that, Nurses Week, when I was coming up as a CNA and in the hospital system and things like that, Nurses Week was not really celebrated that much. So, we would get something really small, maybe like a candy bar or something like that, like something like pretty small. And I think it's really cool how Ignite has really taken the week and, every day there's something, exciting, whether it's like a meal or a gift or, just something cool that they do for the nurses. And I just think that's really cool, man. Especially because, like I said, I've worked for other companies where, there really wasn't that much emphasis on it. And, but I think it's important, and I think it definitely aligns with what we try to do for our staff, in terms of just, honoring them and, really trying to make them feel good and feel welcome at Ignite. So.
There's nothing more honorable than placing the needs of someone else before your very own. And as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about all the people who you have put their needs before your very own. Starting out as a CNA. I heard you mention that.
I'm super lucky, man. I work hard, but I'm super fortunate. I think that in life, I think a lot of people work hard, and my kids, I have 3 boys, and they'll come up to me because I work in the evenings a lot on my computer, and they'll be like, "Dad, why are you always working and stuff?" And I'll just remind them, like, we have staff right now that are working, putting people to bed, giving people showers, giving people medication, maybe admitting somebody late at night. Those guys are working, and I need to keep working to help them, to help our company out. I am a workaholic too, so I'm working on that. But yeah, it's just true though. Like, our staff works so hard, and I feel like they inspire me to work hard. They really do. Yeah, I was a CNA for 6 years. I actually became an NA when I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Back when I was 15 years old, back in that year in time, you could work in a nursing home at that age. I was a candy striper before that, which they don't have those anymore. But then I worked as a CNA basically through high school, and then into basically the first couple of years of my undergrad, and then I started working as a nurse tech before I graduated nursing school. So,
You know what, John? Was there a nurse leader that played a major role in your development through that process?
absolutely, yeah. I had so many people that looked out for me when I was going through school and beforehand. I can think of so many people that helped me through the years, but um, I'll never forget the CNA that trained me. Her name was Violet. She was a career CNA. Her approach to the residents, after working as a CNA I think she had been a CNA for over 40 years. She just was so patient with me because as a new CNA, you go through the training and things like that, but you don't really know what you're doing until you actually get on the floor and, start doing the job. And she was just very patient with me. She gave me tons of grace. just an excellent teacher. Um, I mean, just my professors through undergrad were, all of them where I went to school were amazing. Taught me a lot, especially my clinical instructors. Probably the best mentor I had after I graduated was a guy by the name of Don, and he was a career nurse. He was getting close to retirement. He was really the nurse who taught me how to be a good nurse.
Mm.
I had, and I had, I had bad experiences with that too. I had preceptors when I was right out of school that weren't really interested in training me. They were more interested in, I want to get my own work done
Hmm.
so that, I can just be done and leave at a good time.
Hmm.
And Don was just, he, again, just super patient. Um, there's kind of an old stigma that nurses can eat their young. And I don't know how true that is really now in 2025, but I mean, I think, it was definitely the case back when I was a new nurse that, it was competitive. Anyway, Don, not only was he an outstanding nurse, but he had a spirit and the right character to be the kind of nurse that does it for 30, 40 plus years.
Mm.
Bedside
Mm.
nursing. And that takes a very special kind of person with all the different things that are thrown at nurses, not just the busy work that comes with nursing, but all different personalities that have to be managed from the
Yes.
patients to the guests to the families, um, all that stuff. And he honestly made me believe in myself. I think that's what we try to emulate when we hire new folks, uh,
Hmm.
and get them through orientation. Not just we want their orientation in the classroom to be meaningful, but it's really what really counts is when those new hires are put with somebody at Ignite that really truly loves to teach and wants to take that person under their wing and show them not only how to be a good nurse, how to be a good CNA, how to be a good CMT, but also how Ignite does things differently in terms of how we admit somebody into our facility. For example, I would say our process is very unique in terms of the customer service aspect of it, the personal things that we try to know and understand about that guest to make their stay as best as possible.
I know I want to give a shout out to Ronki Mangali. You just became an RN, and I'm so happy for you. As I'm listening to you, John, I'm thinking about Ronki. I'm thinking about the leaders that you have helped to grow their careers. I'm thinking about the leaders that you have instilled in that help grow the profession. So with that, take some time to talk about how our nurses are advancing their careers, how we're advancing in our licensure, and how we're growing and developing here at Ignite.
There's a lot that I could say about that. I know that Barry, our chairman and co-founder, he
Hmm.
is extremely big on continuing education and growing our staff. And so we hired Teresa Sameka, who oversees our clinical education program. And that has been a huge blessing for us in terms of just she's been able to help really give a lot of focus to things like getting nursing programs connected with our facilities, getting students
Mm.
in the facilities. That's been extremely helpful. I think the other thing for our own staff, though, has been just giving them opportunities to go to school when they maybe wouldn't have done it. And I've seen so many nurses, or I'm sorry, so many CNAs get enrolled in nursing programs throughout the past year, year and a half. And that has been incredible to see that. Just how excited they are to be able to go back to school
Hmm.
and really with Ignite, helping them, essentially sponsoring them
Hmm.
to go back to school without having to take out, student loans and things like that. That is tremendous. And I frankly, I don't really know of anyone that does something like that. So I think that's extremely unique. Just looking at all those people that have gone through and gotten enrolled, I know that they're going to become great nurses. They're already great CNAs for us, but
Hmm.
become great nurses. And who knows, down the road, we may even be able to implement, something to help sponsor them to go through an RN program as well. Just to kind of go back to being lucky. I mean, but also working hard. You know, I happened to be the CNO at our first building at KC Northland, and I really just happened to be in the right place at the right time in terms of just being able to excel at that particular facility. And Tim and Barry gave me the opportunity to grow into the chief clinical officer role, which is what I've done since 2020. But as we've grown, I mean, we started out in 2018 with one building. We're at 25 buildings today, and we're going to continue growing this year. I think it's just exciting to see all the new staff that we bring on board, whether it's an acquisition or it's a new build. It's exciting to see how they respond to how Ignite does things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every single time that we do an acquisition or a new build, the staff are so thankful for just the different things that we offer in terms of
Mm-hmm.
benefits, all the extra things that we do, superheroes and scrubs. Like I mentioned, the path to grow as a clinician in our organization, I think, is huge. It also helps retain great people. But I think the reason that we're really successful, and I just to give some shout outs to your question earlier, I think the reason we're successful is I'm surrounded by great people, you know, in
Mm.
terms of the clinical VPs that I work with, they're all outstanding. You know, they work their butts off, but they're also super smart. Um, they help a lot in terms of just giving direction to the facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I lean on them a lot in terms of just knowing what's going on in a particular facility, preparing for things like annual survey, um, and yeah, just kind of keeping a pulse on what's going on in our building. So I want to give a shout out to my VPs for sure of clinical ops. They are incredible, and without them, I wouldn't be able to do my job. So, but I think outside of that, I mean, staff that we have are so good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've actually been at our KC Northland building, which is the building I was the CNO at this week doing a mock.
Yes.
And Kaylee Carter is our CNO there. She is incredible. She's also a licensed administrator.
Shout out. Shout out.
Yeah,
Happy Nurses Week and happy Future Administrators Week all in one.
yeah, there you go. Um, just the things that building has been able to accomplish, I'm
Mm.
just so humbled and proud of them. And I think what's cool to see is, the leaders that we have are surpassing, what I was able to do in that
Mm.
building. I'll give you an example. Last year, that building went through annual survey. They had the best annual survey that building's ever had.
That's what I'm talking about.
Um, I'm going through and interviewing residents and guests in the building just to as part of my mock survey, and the guests are saying, the care's been great. Um, I love my staff, I love my nurse, I love my CNA. So that kind of stuff is just really encouraging for me to hear. And a lot of the a lot of the staff have worked there for years.
Mm.
So we've been able to retain a lot of the staff there. We have some new faces too, but um, that's been really, really cool to see too, that, they like working there. They like working at our facility. And, otherwise there's tons of competition for nurses. They can, this day and age, you can go anywhere and do about anything. So
Mm-hmm.
we're able to retain people like that I think is, really meaningful.
Before we get out of here, we want to say Happy Nurses Week again for our nursing officers at each of our resorts. Ooh, as a former administrator, I tell you, I depend on my CNO. Period. There is no me without he or she. That's a fact. All right. So if you're ever wondering about that, let's be clear. I value my CNO and I appreciate especially how you have your profession has had an impact on my life, both personally and professionally. So, John, I want to turn it over to you. Do you have any final comments before we get out of here in regards to your nursing program, your dedicated team, and this distinguished Nurses Week that we're experiencing?
And I would just say that, enjoy the week. I know that we have a lot of great things planned for the nurses. So, I appreciate that we have the opportunity to be able to do that for our nursing staff. Again, I would just say that, just to echo what you said too, Gerald, I'm very thankful for all of you guys, how hard you work every day. to take care of our guests and families and each other as well. And it's inspiring to me to see how well you guys work together as a team every day,
Mm.
um, and just for everything that you do. And I also know that, it's competitive. I know that there's a lot of people that want you to work for them, and I just
Mhm.
appreciate that. You know, you feel good about working at Ignite. That you feel like we have good things in place to really to make you feel good about coming to work. Because really,
Mm.
if you feel good about coming to work, that makes you more of an asset to your
Mhm.
guests, and it makes you the best you can be, really. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Well said. You know, it's clear that everyone likes to matter in the workplace.
They do.
And we want to make sure that all of our professionals know that you matter. And this Nurses Week, we want to echo that specifically for our nursing team. As I give my parting words, I think about the power of purpose and how many of you felt purpose as you were growing through your nursing program. You were learning new skills, you were earning differently, you were growing. And then sometimes we get complacent. We get caught up in what's in front of us. Our mind is full of stuff, the day's routine. What I want to end this lesson or end this pod with is encouragement about continuing to grow your skill set. Think about how good you felt when you were going through the nursing program. And my challenge to you is whether you're a veteran or not, keep learning, keep growing so that you can keep advancing, keep modeling these examples that John experienced, which you are modeling each and every day. Keep doing it because guess what? Our future clinical officer may be the next nurse that you grow and you develop. So, on behalf of John and myself, I want to thank you all. I want to thank you for joining Ignite the Flame. And if you're a nurse listening to this, make sure you call a buddy and ask them to listen to this message as well.